Okay, so we're back, and someone remind me that there are two more tissue that we need to discuss, which is the um, connective tissue and muscle. Okay, so let's do another half an hour and on the integument system. Uh, there's a lot of stuff, but just focus on the thing that I'm going to go over with you. Half an hour, uh, then I'll go back and then talk about those um, the two other tissues. Okay, so let's continue then. Um, Okay. Now, the accessory glands, like the hair follicle, and most important is that the shaft is the part of the hair that is, above the skin, if you will, and then the root, if you will, is the shaft versus the root. The papillae is this area here. So you look at the hair follicle, the hair papillae is the area that has cell that is dividing. Okay, you look in this right here that has considers the hair matrix. That's the one that has the next to the blood vessel that brings oxygen and nutrients, which stimulates it to grow. And the way that its hair grows, that there are these different kinds of cuticles around them, but they grow, they divide. This area is the area that's actively growing, and essentially they just kind of slide upward like that. Okay, they just kind of go upward like that. But that's the area, and so if people claim that they have this ointment that can stimulate your, if you topically, if you apply it to your skin and it makes hair grow, you know, don't buy it, because you do buy it, I might have a bridge for sale, okay, like the Brooklyn Bridge. No, the only way that you probably want to stimulate the hair growth is, okay, is you have to take something orally, right? Take it into your blood. The blood then can stimulate that, and then it actually can stimulate hair growth. So anything atopical is not going to work. Uh, this was an important one. Note, okay. Now there's a muscle you can see here. This is known as the erector pili muscle. Okay. And of course, you guys know, like doing Halloween, and you kind of scary, and you can see that the hair will stand up. Why does the hair stand up? Is because you stimulate the contractions of these pili muscle. Erector means to stand up. Pili mean pilus mean the hair follicle and muscle. The question is that which autonomic nervous system, and later on we're going to talk about the autonomic nervous system, okay, ANS. Is it the sympathetic nervous system, or is it the parasympathetic nervous system that stimulates this? Okay. And does anybody know which one of these systems innervate the erectile pili muscle to contract so that the hair stand up? Can you guys hear me okay? You might pick up someone. Zhao? Zhao, what's the answer? Zhao. I guess Zhao's not going to answer. Avi,
Is it
what's the
erector? Is it erector pili muscle?
Yes, contractions of the erectile pili muscle would cause the hairs to stand up. But what stimulates the erectile pili muscle contract? Is it this or is it this? Is it the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic nervous system?
Parasympathetic?
No, we're going to talk about this next time. Okay. The sympathetic nervous system is the one that is associated with adrenaline. Okay, that's an important one. The parasympathetic, and that's associated with digestion, defecation, defecation, and diuresis. Diuresis. So in other words, it makes your digestive system goes up. Um, you go to bathroom number 2 a lot, and you go to bathroom number 1's a lot. This one, when the adrenaline's kicking on, the sympathetic nervous system, this is oftentimes so um, the sympathetic nervous system is the same thing as the uh, fight or flight response. Okay, so you either fight or you fight. So that's when your adrenaline goes up, right? Your heart rate will go up, your respiratory rate will go up, for example. And it's the adrenaline that stimulates the erectile pili to, heighten your senses. That's your hair then stands up. Okay, so make sure you know that. What innervates this erectile pili is the adrenaline. Adrenaline. Okay. The other ancestry glands of this, of course, is they're just projected under the dermis. All right, just going to talk about hair. Um, Most of the uh, hair, there's some people, there's soft hair, baby hairs is very soft, not keratinized. It's different. Um, the hair will grow. We'll find in, of course, everywhere in our body except the palms and the toe and the lip, of course, and the usually the internal genitalia for the female, for example, does not have the outer portion that have it. So we call it the labia minora, labia majora. The labia majora will have it, but not the labia minora. Okay. All right. Now, of course, hair function is, you know, it's in a way it's protection because um, it kind of it gives you sensation if someone brush against that hair and oh, you can feel it, especially when insects crawl on your body, right? That's important because you don't feel that the insect may suck out your blood or they could bite you and stuff. And the most thing with the danger zone, like some bite you, like mosquito, is that they in the process of sucking out your blood, they deliver a parasite like Plasmodium falciparum, for example. That can cause us malaria. So that's the important functions of the hairs like that. Not our hair so much, but in certain animal hair insulate, right? The thicker you are, keep you warm. Sheep does that, and we basically shave them off their coating to make our coat and wools and stuff like that. Um, okay, hair follicle, the base, actually, um, the area of the hair of follicle that have cells growing is this area called the matrix. Okay, the hair matrix that has the cell that's really growing. On the other hand, the non-living part, called the um, cuticle forms, things like that. They're not. They're basically starting to keratinize. All right. We talked about erectile pili already. Let's give you the goosebump. Sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland. Does anybody know what type of sebaceous gland is in terms of? So the sebaceous gland is a type of gland that secrete into the duct. So we know that's an exocrine, right? As an exocrine, you should think of it, is it a merocrine gland? Is it a apocrine gland? Or is it a holocrine gland? Which one is it? Um, Ashley. Ashley. Um, Sebaceous gland is which one of these type? American, apocrine, or holocrine? You know? Turn on your microphone. Miriam? Miriam? What's the answer?
Oh, sorry. It's a holocrine gland.
It is. Oh, you seems to know all your material. Very nice, Miriam. It is a holocrine gland, and how is that different? And that is when doing that secretion, all of the cells die, right? If it's only liquidy, like the sweat gland, that's American. If it's part of the cells comes up, that's the apocrine, right? Like the mammary gland is an apocrine. So, I'm asking these for your benefit and not mine. So make sure you know these, okay? All right, so the hair again, the root versus the shaft, which is the upper part, again shows you here more structure, sebaceous gland, right? Sebaceous is the holocrine gland. I mean, all the cells comes off and they die and it's secreted into the hair, keep the hairs nice and moist. It's equivalent to the same thing as you can say your conditioner, if you will, okay, which is secreting this thing called sebum. Um, okay, and you can see up here, here's a hair matrix, right? And the or the bulbs of the hair have the blood vessel that comes up, nurture it, and this is the has the area that's rapidly dividing. That's the hair matrix that has cells that is rapidly dividing. Okay, and you have a question?
Yeah, can you turn your cursor on? Or is there a way to turn your cursor on so we know which items you're pointing to?
How about now? Can you see that?
Now I only see it when you draw. I only see your drawing. I don't see the actual cursor.
Yeah, apparently I put on the cursor, but you can't see it. So okay, I'll try to draw it.
No problem.
It's thing between the drawing and the typing, you know. All right, let me go back then.
I started a second ago, but okay.
That's okay. So let me go back. Okay, so in other words, this is the area I'm talking about. That is the have the cells that is rapidly growing. Okay. Another word, close up, if you will, you can see that hair matrix, right? This is the area with a lot of dividing cells. That's important, right? This is sit in this whole area called the bulb, if you will, of the hair. Um, and these are different sheets, keratinizes. Do you need to really to know this? Just to note that there are, there's external and internal. That's easy to remember. External sheet and internal sheet. Okay. Um, and that's also known as the tough keratin layer. And you have your inside layers. These right here is known as the hair roots in general. But the most important is that in the hair matrix is the area that has a lot of cell dividing. Okay, similar thing, hair matrix, produce hair. It pushes up out of cells. Keratin is that there are different kinds of keratin. The hard keratin is the outermost layer. And the outermost will have your hard keratin, and the innermost is your soft keratin. So this is your hair bulbs, if you will. So then this the hard keratin. This was your soft keratin. Right. All right. We talked about sebaceous glands already, how sebaceous glands are the holocrine gland. The other two is the apocrine gland and the merocrine gland secretion. Um, the apocrine gland is, remember, apocrine means piece of the cells that is coming off. Um, that's the apocrine gland. The merocrine is just basically your sweat gland, if you will. Okay, so your sweat gland. Um, uh, this, all right, apocrine gland and this one has more protein. This one has more protein, the apocrine gland. This one's more watery gland. And here's to show you more difference between these glands. Okay. And you can see how sebaceous gland can either empty into the hair follicle or into the area on top of the skin. These sebaceous is the holocrine gland, more holocrine gland. Um, Sebaceous gland, you can see holocrine gland secretes sebum. You can see all of this except the palm. The palm do have your sweat gland. So some people have a lot of sweat produced and they get sweaty palms, for example. The epicrine gland produces more sticky, cloudy substance. In fact, you find these apicrine gland typically at in your axillary, your joint, for example, and in your armpit, and then usually because bacterial uses it and takes it up, and that's where you get the body odor, if you will, due to the apicrine gland. Uh, okay, so here's the sweat pore acrine gland. Um, Here's the epigland that's sort of like secreted into the hair as well. And very common around the inguinal area or the armpit, if you will. Merocrine is a sweat gland, just watery. That's play an important role in removing heat from the body. There. Uh, Mammary gland. Mammary gland is what kind of gland? Is it holocrine? Is it apocrine? Or is it merocrine? What's the answer? Jason Perez. Jason? Jason, very nice. Apocrine gland. Thanks, Jason. Good. So make sure you know that. Okay. A nail. I'm gonna not. You can spend a lot of time talking about nail. I'm not gonna talk about too much. You nail. Our nail doesn't grow as long as some animal that can go long and it could like become claws. Yeah. And it's all basically it's just keratinize it. So if you can say nail, um, the nail has sits underneath called the nail bed. You can see here's the nail bed. The lunula is the area that it has cells that is rapidly growing underneath. Okay, and that just basically push it outward. Lunula. So in some cases, the colors of the nails and the presence of the nail. Some people might have this. The nail might have like a spoon nail, so that goes up, or they may have a line called bow line that will tell you some of the disorder. If it's dry, crusty, and crumbly, that's usually mean fungal infection. Um, yeah. So the nail, I think the most important nail here is that if it's, oh yeah, I guess the next one here, you can see. It is outward concavity, also known as spoon nail. That usually indicates iron deficiency. It's bow line, that means usually it's malnutrition. Yellow, more yellow tinted nail, and crumbly, that's fungal infection or respiratory thyroid and problem. Outward concavity, spoon nail, iron deficiency, that's important to know, and the bow line across the nail here, hint malnutrition. Okay, so the skin, of course, you can certainly damage the skin, and depends on the extent of the damage. Um, if you lose the top layer, yes, would this part of the exam be on the test? Yes, make sure you know this. All right. This will probably not. Just want to tell you that if remember that the stratum basal is really is the layer that is rapidly dividing. Uh, and if you lose the dermis, right, and you lose the stratum basal, then there's no way to prepare it So in other words, if you lose that surface and your body prepare it, you're going to lead to scarring. But if you do superficial, like a burnt or something, and you lose this couple of layers on top, corneums or lucidum, then the base cell is still there. So they can basically um, continue to divide. So then your repair would be regeneration. It's just basically you get a cut, right? It just repaired it. It was the same as before. But you have a deep cut, you're going to have scarring. Okay. So essentially, that's the different process here that shows you inflammation response. You're getting the migration phase. So this is probably too much. I'm not going to talk about the different repairing what leads to scarring or regeneration. Okay. Lastly, I think I kind of talked about already, lead to some of it, but this will be the last slide. Usually, okay, you see here, albinism. It means people who do not have melanocyte. Okay, by the way, your iris um, has produces pigment in there as well. And of course, if you don't have melanocyte, there people who consider has albinism. There's no melanin there, so that's why their skin is white. But their eye also doesn't have green color to it. Can you guys turn off your microphone? Whoever just came in. Um, Alice, turn off your microphone.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please turn it off.
Turn off.
Yeah, good. If you want to ask me a question, raise the hand and I'll call on you. This will be the last slide. Albinism is important. Jaundice is the yellow skinning, yellow. And I would ask you yellow due to, say, liver failure, for example, right? Karen, do you have a question? Karen Smith, you like to click on this, but you don't want it to ask question?
I'm okay. I'm okay now.
Okay, please turn off.
I already because the little one next to me, he feel exciting. This is my teacher. Hi, say hi. Hi.
Can you turn off your microphone too,
Yes.
please? Otherwise, you get a feedback. We just finished with the integument system, and we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the two other tissue that I forgot to tell you. Karen Smith, can you turn off your microphone? Great. Jaundice is an important thing to know. That's in the yellow skin due to liver failure. Albinism, which is basically the white skin, no melanocyte to produce melanin. Sometimes if you got a lot of blood vessels to your skin called vasodilation, and the face will look red, so we call that erythema. Okay, erythema. Erythema dermatitis, for example. Sometimes people get bacterial infection and the face will also look red as well. The question is, yes, will there be recording? Yes, this part will be recorded, and we're going to turn off the recording in a couple of minutes. Okay. Environmental factor that could be impacted this melanocyte. UV light, sun lamp, X-ray will stimulate melanocyte to produce melanin. All right, so that will be the conclusion of the integument system. Are there any questions before I turn off the recording? No question? Miriam, question?
Hi, is class ending early since we're at the end of the chapter, or are we going on to the next chapter?
No, I told the student that there's two more tissue that I didn't talk about.
Right. Yes, I heard that part.
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll come back. Like it's for my clock is 5 after 5. We'll have 5 minute break. Go get your coffee, and I'll have another 20 minute. I mean, 50, yeah, maybe 20 to 25 more minutes. And yes, we can end it early. Okay,
Okay.
before 6. All right, I'm going to turn off the recording now.
Yes, thank you.